All right, welcome back to another Abundance podcast. I'm here in Salt Lake. My good friend Sam Taggart let us use his studio at The Hive. So coming at you from Salt Lake City. We got a really good friend on the show today, Kyler Fisher. We actually went to acting school together back in LA.
Man.
What year was that?
2015.
That whole kind of 8 years of grinding in LA is all just blurred together for me, of like acting and modeling and music and trying to figure out business and just.
Bro, that was a crazy time of life. And I had just finished school. We moved to Hollywood, back to Hollywood. We were in Huntington for a long time, but then we moved back to Hollywood and just decided to do that whole thing full time. And that's a weird world, man. Trying to figure out how you're going to book your next role or whatever. So I think we were just in class together.
We were. Yeah. I wasn't booking anything. I was going to do a ton of auditions and always like kind of almost there, but like not enough to pay the bills. And I was like, man, I'm exerting so much energy. But then in LA, you bump into experts and they're like, hey, why don't you check this out? This is a great way to make money with you just being there, whether it's being an extra or renting out your cars on movie shoots.
Yep.
So it's just very distracting of me always like trying to find that thing that was going to be my click.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of do anything too. Like I remember doing like featured extra roles because I had a buddy of mine who ran Central Casting, and he said, hey, come here. They're looking for this. You know, I was on several sets, American Horror Story, Blunt Talk. Like I was on a bunch of different shows, but, at the end of the day, it doesn't pay the bills, you know, doesn't pay the bills, not in that city. I mean, you have, not if you want to live a certain type of life, you know.
For sure.
So
it's still very much a paycheck to paycheck lifestyle if you're doing somewhat okay in that deal.
Yeah, luckily I had my wife. My wife had been in the business for so long, so when she booked, you know, a national commercial, which she did often, you know, that's what really helps. But I just, for me, you know, I had to be doing something that really made money, and I literally had a solar company that I started, you know, because I had done 10 years of door-to-door experience. Solar was just new, and you know, I started this solar company with another partner at a company that I had actually worked for. So we branched off and started this program. And honestly, that was the worst time to start a solar company because the deals wouldn't get installed. You know, so all these guys out there knocking doors, you know, selling these accounts, and they wouldn't get installed. And so nobody made any money. So I stopped that.
What was the issue with it not getting installed?
They just hadn't figured it out yet, you know. 2014, it was a new deal, you know. 14, 15, they were just really trying to figure it out, you know. I think they're just really figuring out the install thing, you know. It's just bad timing, you know, bad timing.
Timing's everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
But speaking of good timing, I mean, I've seen you excel in so many other areas of your life. You are the definition of a serial entrepreneur, going from building a personal brand around your family to music to making your own movies to, I'm sure you have a lot of other side businesses that we're going to talk about as well.
Yeah.
Talk about that leap of, you know, because when we met, we were both like grinding, like really trying to figure out like, what is our thing? Like, you're like, that didn't work, boom, on the next. That didn't work, boom, on the next. Like, you never gave up. It was like, okay, that's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that process and when you saw like kind of a click and thought, okay, I'm going, you know, all in on this next venture.
Actually, it really started with a venture that I was a part of in Hollywood. I was another side business that I had where I raised a bunch of money for a cell phone company. So I put together a good amount of money for this project, and found myself in China and Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan. I was traveling all over the place, and had some good deals overseas, and just happened to be the one deal went way south. We signed on good faith. We didn't put a deposit down in the factory. We lost about $1.5 million in one day. So wow. It tanked the whole company. I lost everything that I had. I lost a lot of my friends' money. And since I have paid a lot of those people back, which has been fun for me to be able to get them back, you know, several years ago. But really, that is the experience that I had where I lost everything that I had saved from my door-to-door life. And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to switch it up. I'm not doing this type of business. I lived across the street from, this is the same story I tell on just about every podcast. So this is me.
Just something new.
Yeah, but for real, like for real, I mean, this is my life story up to this point. Like, I lived across the street from Logan Paul, Jake Paul, in Hollywood, and there's one day I ran into Logan's videographer, Mark Donor, and we became friends. I went up to Logan's apartment one day. They were having a party up there, and got to talking to George Janko. You probably know these names. And we decided to start a little basketball thing. So for about a solid year, I played ball with these guys 4 nights a week.
Oh, wow.
Just really developed relationships with all these kids who were Viners and Facebook video guys. And yeah, that's where it started. I ended up having, we ended up finding out we're having twin girls. We moved out of Hollywood, moved back down to Orange County to be closer to her parents, because we knew we were going to need help. And this was all in the midst of this explosion with this business, and it was really difficult. But I just decided, you know what, we're going to jump on YouTube and try this thing. We have this unique situation where we have these beautiful twin girls. Let's try to put ourselves out there. And we put ourselves out there, and sure enough, we started growing. And then I thought to myself, I know all these other kids that are jumping on YouTube now. Jake had just started his channel. I called him first. I said, Jake, let's do a video with these girls. Sure enough, 24 hours on top of my 40,000 subscribers that I had grown, I grew 100,000 subscribers in 24 hours.
Wow.
So I'm like,
Interesting.
what a playbook. Yeah. Logan, how you doing, man? You know what I mean? I called him up, same thing. I grew about 150,000 subscribers when Logan posted. Same thing. Called David Dobrik. David, what's up, man? Let's hang out. Let's just do a video. These are all kids that I kind of, anyways, it was crazy, man. Crazy time of life, but I worked with just about everybody, and, there's just power in numbers, man. You get out there, the more people you work and collab with, the more eyes are going to be on you and your operation. And
absolutely.
And
it's crazy now.
That's right.
That's exactly what it is. And
yeah.
You saw that niche. I remember watching those videos when they were first coming out. I was thinking about having kids, and it was like really inspiring to see how much fun you guys were having with it. I was like, man,
We didn't know what we were doing, man. We didn't know what we were doing. My content is horrible, to be honest with you, but it was just
raw though, and like that's
it was pretty raw. It was pretty raw, and people are eating it up, and I think we have 1.5 billion views now to this day. Which is fair. That's fair.
You guys put in the hustle for it, though. I mean, because the consistency was key. I mean, what was the day that you first started the YouTube channel?
I think it was October of 2016. Yeah.
And you guys are still pushing that, still putting out content on that channel, really pushing that brand, or is it still just
post as much? Nah, I mean, like that. Honestly, man, like, this world has kind of died for a lot of people, it's died for a lot of people. I think when TikTok kind of revamped, or musically TikTok, kind of revamped, people started posting that short form content. More and more people got in, and people are just consuming short form content. They're not watching the daily vlogs as much. Yeah. And so it changed a lot, it changed for everybody. Jake Paul, dude, he used to be 15 million views a video. And now he can't even barely hit 1 million. You know what I mean? So, just times are different, times are different. I think it'll come back. I do. I think people are going to want to consume something different. Like, these videos are getting kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? But I've ridden a roller coaster for 6 years or 7 years. So I know that it could definitely come back.
For sure. And, that's just a lesson for anybody listening in. It's like, first of all, getting attention, building a brand, like, that's its own currency. You can have leverage in numbers, and then other people want to work with you and collaborate. Then you start to do this cross-pollination with their audiences. Mm-hmm. And it allows you to kind of have like that growth hacking, movement to it. And the other thing is, as you're growing out platform, it's like you listen to guys like Gary Vee, I consider him the content king, where it's like, you're building all the platforms, so you don't know which one's going to take off and which one's going to chill out. When a new one comes out, like, there's opportunity there, right? And so I was very late to the game on the organic side of things, and kind of kicking myself in the ass right now, but learning from that of, just keep creating the content. Short form's going to resonate with some people, and long form's still going to resonate with others, because all of our, students still come from YouTube, from like the long form, advertisements, blogs, case studies, that sort of thing. we tried, and I know other advertisers had this experience with the short form to try to build a consulting business or a coaching business or an educational business. It's not really the best. But for entertainment or just like building an audience, that short form is like pretty powerful.
Yeah, totally.
Are you experimenting with any of that now, or
Like in terms of what?
like with short form for, well, I guess you kind of have multiple brands that you're working with now. What the main one that I've really seen you been focusing on is for like all the music that you're doing.
Yeah. I mean,
What's been the hack that you've really found out with that to help keep building your audience, but more so around that brand?
to be honest, I haven't figured out a hack yet. Honestly, like music's tough. Like it's a tough deal. I don't really care though as much about music growth. It's kind of weird. I do, but I don't. Like I really enjoy. Like I'm flying out to Nashville on Thursday. I'm tracking 4 new songs. You know, with arguably one of the best, you know, producers in Nashville, and I'm paying the bill, and I almost know that there's not going to be that ROI, but I don't really care because I really love what I'm doing. You know, and if it takes off, great. And I think that it could because of that, you know what I mean? Because I don't really place so much emphasis on like the end result, you know? I'm just like enjoying myself as I go, you know? Music, yeah, it's good. It's good, you know? And I've never really been there actually. YouTube was always about like, how can I grow so I can feed my kids, you know? It was never, that was always my end result, you know? It's like, I am going to make money at this. This is going to be my business, you know? So, but music's a little different. So.
With, you know, even back then, was it more monetizing off like the AdSense coming straight from YouTube, or are you guys doing like partnerships and affiliates and white labeling products, or like what was like kind of the main driver behind that?
The AdSense was so good back then that like I didn't need brands at all. Like it was crazy. It was like almost disrespectful how much money we were making. It made no sense, you know? The brands really started trickling in though, and we had a really good life that way, you know, because the brands just kept coming and coming and coming, and they still do, which is crazy. You know, it's absolutely crazy that people will spend this type of money on, you know, this type of advertising, but it is the way of the world, you know? And, it's been great. It's been great. It's been quite abundant, you know,
Back then, what were they paying like per million views?
Oh, it's such a formula, dude. It really is such a formula. I can't even figure that out. No, man, it's such a formula. It's like watch time, you know, watch time's like huge. It's the type of advertiser. It's like, it's, placement. It's how many mid-roll ads you have. You know, it's a huge formula. I could never, and I don't think anybody really understands. We just saw the number change. That's about it. But watch time is huge, you know, the longer the watch time, the more ads, you know, people are going to sit through, and it's just like, yeah. So
like through this, it seems like each experience you were having was like kind of leading you to the next thing that you wanted to stay focused on. Like, what were some of the hard lessons you learned along the way that at the time felt like it was like the end of the road, things were exploding, but really it was some of the biggest takeaways you've had in your journey?
The biggest takeaway that I have is I somewhere in 2019 I decided that collabing was like, it was getting too much, and my business just started to go down after that. You know, it was like, that's what we did. We just collabed. That's all we did. You know, we made videos and collabed, and our business stayed, you know, just above water, you know, full steam ahead. And then when I stopped collabing, and really it happened when like we had so many kids. I had the twins, and I had Halston, you know, and then we had Oliver, and it's like, I cannot even get in the car to go to this person's house, you know what I mean, or whatever.
So you have 4 kids now? 5.
Yeah.
Do you have another one on the way?
Hell no.
Okay. No way. Maybe not some Mother's Day post that I saw with the mom with like appreciation for mama.
Yeah, bro, like no way, dude. 5 kids is good.
That's a lot. I mean, I got 1. I'm like, we're gonna want more in it.
Yeah.
That's a lot, bro.
I'm done. So I'm taking care of there.
Yeah.
Did that recently.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, bro. Like 5 kids is good, you know.
And the twins are the oldest?
Twins are 6.5, 7. They're 7 next month.
So 7 all the way down to what's your youngest?
1.
Wow, it's a good spread.
Yeah.
And you guys just moved to Salt Lake.
Just Salt Lake. We moved kind of like during like the whole COVID thing, you know, or like kind of the tail end of COVID, but like we just kind of had it, you know, and wanted to try something different, you know. It was just, we didn't know what the world was going to do. So we've sold our nice, big, beautiful home in Orange County, and we're sad about it to this day, but it's okay, you know. It's okay. We're still living a pretty good life. The kids love where we live now, and they're gonna love where we move after this too, because you know it's too cold here. Yeah, we'll see where we go. We'll see where we'll end up next. I have so many businesses running now that I can't, you know, I'm a part of here in Utah now. Even in 2 years, like of being here, I don't know when, but.
So when you say you're involved in businesses, are you investing? Are you starting them? Are you partnering them? Are you helping them grow? Are you consulting? Like,
I'm passive in a lot of them, but I'm also consultant in a lot of them too. And then I like more active consultant, and then I'm also heavily involved in a couple of different ventures as well. So yeah, just like a handful of everything. I like the passive ones, you know, passive ones that are making money are good. But yeah, involved in so many, I don't know if I can talk about it, all of them in the hour that we're spending together. But yeah, I like businesses that are already making money. I like to invest in businesses that are already running, you know, and those all, yeah, man, yep, exactly. They've already figured that out, you know. And some of the others, you're just kind of riding the train and hoping that you have a big capital event. And you win, you know. But the world's changing, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know how well some of these will do, you know. Especially as you know, inflation goes up, and just like who knows, you know. I'm alive. I have a roof over my head. I have a good family, and we're just grateful, you know, where we're at right now. So.
And that's I like to shine light on it for a lot of our listeners that are thinking about starting a business or new in their entrepreneurial journey, or maybe a few years in, and it's like they're just so focused or unaware of like, okay, I become, let's say, an agency owner, and like that's all I do. It's like once you turn on that entrepreneurial brain, like you can't turn it off. Like my wife's always been like, well, over here, I'm gonna call me like, now what are you gonna do? Now what's going on? How much time is that gonna take? And I'm like, well, babe, when you learn to leverage your skills and your network and your people, it's like by you just being a connector or a consultant or a passive investor, it's like there's ways to add tremendous value and grow your net worth without you physically being there. Yeah. And that's what I think is really exciting about being an entrepreneur. It's like it's just a big giant game to me. Totally. Of like, how am I gonna play this? How am I gonna get past this next level? Who do I need on my side? Like what defenses do I need? You know what I mean? It's like, and it's become a hobby to me. Like people ask about like, well, totally, you know, what are you doing for now? It's like, I love sitting down with amazing people like yourself and talking about like, how can we improve each other's lives? How can we add more value?
We can build together. Yeah. It's a game. I think before the podcast, we were just talking about that. For me, it's like this is kind of where I find my balance in life. You know, I don't get overwhelmed because I enjoy everything we're doing. You know, I enjoy all the opportunities that I have. It just, for me, this is what I like doing. It used to be like skiing every day. You know, that's great. But like, I like the game of seeing where I can take things, you know, so.
Because like, especially momentum loves momentum, money loves money. And it's like, if you're keeping that whole thing going, it's like, you just keep connecting with the next person that's going to help you close that gap on the next business or the next venture, or the next partnership, right? I'm always finding people that are better than me at marketing or emails or advertising or whatever it is, like with my team and the people that I'm networking with, like, who's better than me? Like, please come join me, you know? And I really enjoy the way that our industry has changed with coaching and consulting. Is before it was very much so like kind of a competitive dog eat dog world, and I feel like in the last year, like I've made more friends in my industry and have actually added value, and vice versa by just becoming, you know, friends with people and building relationships. And feel like that's how a lot of industries are changing. We're just like, man, there's so much opportunity out there. How can we help each other out? It's like, that's just what feels good for me is when I can meet somebody and add value, and it allows for that equity in that relationship to expand and become more abundant. Where it's like, oh shoot, I ran into Chance. He's a great guy. He helped me out here. I know how I can help him with Kyler or with Dan or with whoever. And it creates like this really, cool, like feedback loop that I've really been enjoying in the last year. Mainly coming out of COVID where people can kind of get back together now.
Yeah.
I feel like people are yearning for that,
Totally.
So that's why I love doing the podcast now. And we're going to start doing more events. It's because, a lot of people in the events are like the next 2 to 3 years for concerts, events, masterminds, like it'll be the biggest numbers we've ever seen because people are really yearning for that.
Togetherness. Yeah, for sure. I enjoy that stuff too. I might perform at a couple of these events here soon. That's a fun thing for me is I'm just starting the stage life thing. Didn't you play in a band for a while? Yeah, we need to talk more about that because I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about music, but that's what I was saying. I was like, we got to sit down and talk on this podcast.
I literally just had my first show, you know what I mean? It was great. Yeah, it was great. It was good for a first show. I got a lot of great feedback. As far as I know, right now I'm playing Country Fan Fest, which would be really cool. We'll see if that happens, but I'm slotted. So, it's crazy.
See, that was the thing back when we were making music before I was an entrepreneur is I didn't have the business mindset around it. I was like, oh, you just keep playing and you get some big producer stumble into a bar and listen to you play and you become rich and famous. And we were just waiting for that to happen, but not setting up our schedule and not connecting to the right bookers, not building relationships and not like, okay, what label makes sense for us to really make a connection with that would help take our sound to the world. Like we just had no understanding of that whatsoever. So, I mean, I know more recently you've really been focusing a lot on music, but you always played music.
I just played, but I never did anything with it. I mean, I never did anything with it till 20, I just played and sang to never try to produce any music or anything.
Well, it sounds great. I grew up listening to country music. And for anybody listening, how can they listen to your music?
Just everywhere. Kyler Fisher, everywhere. All platforms, TikTok, all the way from TikTok to Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere you can.
Cool. We'll make sure to drop a couple links below this thing so people can come check you out.
Appreciate that, man.
I mean, I grew up listening to country music, and it is like in full force right now. Like everybody's listening to country music. Like my father-in-law hated country, and
it's like country pop now. You know what I mean? And I think people just they swing that way now. You know what I mean? I think country's in everybody's blood. I just think you make it less twangy and you'll put it on. So
Or flavor of country.
yeah, you got to find your flavor for sure.
Yeah.
And mine's that way. It's not super twangy,
I really like it.
My son's favorite song he has is Jumper that he jumps in, and it's that Applebee's song by
Walker Hayes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just goes nuts.
I actually have an unreleased song by Walker Hayes that he's going to release soon because I know one of his writers. I'm not going to share it here because I'll get in trouble, but I mean, it's super good, bro. Get ready because it's lit. If you like him, it's so good.
Yeah, it's like it's that same like vibe. So like we're driving a truck the other day and it came on and Aaron's like, oh, is this that one guy? And I was like, no, that's my buddy Kyler. It's like, oh, rad. Cool. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, man.
So, there's a lot of, I'm still figuring out like the family, entrepreneurial, travel. I don't think balance is the right word because there isn't balance. It's just managing it. With all the kids, and I know your wife is still acting and she's producing movies with you too, right?
She's a partner in the business. We mainly did that, to be quite honest with you, because I have a female partner, and she also directs and writes. But we did that because to be honest with you, it's just kind of like for protection or whatever, because I have a fan base who it literally attacks her all the time. So we just need to let our audience know that there's nothing going on there. You know what I mean? You get it? Yeah. So, but yeah, she's kind of as involved as I am, to be honest with you. I'm actually quite passive in that business. I run a pretty big ship right now, and it's hard to really spend 30 and 60 days prepping for these movies, so I help where I can. But on the producer side, it's more difficult. So it's more just like acting for real.
Yeah.
Acting and managing like some of the finance stuff. Other than that, kind of like we hire other producers to like run the ship, if you understand what I mean.
Sure, man.
Yeah.
You have to. Because that was going to be my next question is, balance isn't the right word, but how do you manage the family life, the traveling, like what are some things that have really helped you, be able to still show up for a dad and a husband and your business?
Really it's just hired help, I have more than one nanny. There was a time when I had 3 nannies working for me every day, so it's like, you have one that's like more focused on cleaning and organizing and also helping with the kids. And you have one that's more on content, but also will help with the kids. And, you have one that's, it's like, they all have like different roles, but kind of the same role. It's like, all right, all hands on deck. You know what I mean? You handle the sales, you grab the wheel. You know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of how we do it. If I need to travel or go somewhere, like I'm going to Nashville for 4 days, I have a nanny come in, she'll stay at the house. She'll help Madison the entire time. But I also have a day-to-day and it comes from 8 to 5 every day. So it's like, if Madison wants to leave, she can leave, or do whatever she needs to do. She can go out of town. She can come with me. It doesn't matter. We always have hands on deck.
Yeah.
So, and we hope that continues because I really like that. I like being able to have the freedom to be home and not home so I can continue to like grow this thing.
For sure. And that's something that people got to understand, because I try to outsource everything that I can. I'm not saying that I outsource my fatherhood, but I outsource all the little things in between that allow me to be a father, but also run my business, because my business is my baby that feeds my baby. You know what I mean? And I've had to have that conversation with my partner. It's like we live this nice life and we do these things that we want to do, but it's because I'm able to spend energy and focus on things outside of the house. And we have people to help us focus on things inside of the house. And as long as we have our own, containers, like we don't need to talk about all the stress that I'm dealing with here. We don't need to talk about all the stress we're dealing with here, because it's like we're just handling them in our containers.
Exactly.
That's been helpful.
Exactly. But I think the cool part about my business is like my business really is with my family. So I am home 90% of the time, so it's a real good deal. I would hate to work a 9 to 5, hate it.
Yeah.
I could never imagine. Bro.
Do you remember when you still were working a 9 to 5 and like the thought of being an entrepreneur was like scary and crazy and like all the unknowns kept you back from that? Or did you already kind of have
I was always an entrepreneur ever since I was like 10 years old. So I've never had the mindset of get a job.
So yeah, like my mindset is always like be in control of my own time. So I never lasted very long. It's like the normal jobs couldn't handle it, man. It just drove me nuts. I'm so ADHD, I can barely last anywhere for I'm surprised honestly I've done YouTube for this long. Like I'm just staying consistent. I mean, it obviously makes for an abundant life, and I just stay the course. But even now I'm kind of getting over it a little bit. I've been doing it for so long. How many times can you talk about having like, I don't know. We're done having kids, so we can't run that course anymore. We can't run it, like the new baby or like gender reveals or like first time walking or first time doing this, you know what I mean? Those are a lot of our videos, and people love watching along the way because our kids grow up. Just in like a different phase, man. I'm just ready to I got several brands I'm growing right now. I just started a company called Love TML with my girls. It's an accessories line for them. They have a really big following. They're 6 years old and have 3 million followers, and I think that's pretty good. To try to grow a business up, but we feel like they have an opportunity to be like a Mary Kate and Ashley type of situation because they have such a good, good fan base. We're doing a kind of a Kylie Jenner beauty thing for Madison called One Temple Beauty. So it's just like overarching on a lot of different types of products. what else? I'm an owner in several different companies that have patented, situations like this company, it's called Snuggle Glove. It's like a stuffed animal that has a hand attached or a glove attached to the underbelly of that. The licensing opportunities are massive. We just got a deal with Spin Master and we're just run with that. It's just like, there's so many different things that I'm excited about that I want to put more energy into rather than making YouTube videos every day. But we like to let our audience know what's going on because I don't want to completely abandon them either. Right? I mean, you don't want to abandon your audience that stood by you for 10 years, 10 years, So we're there, we're still posting. It's just not as every single day like we were.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all about that, transition and the journey. Like yesterday I was meeting with Dr. Alok and he was helping me rewire my brain, like all through like helping me change my beliefs. Because if you don't know what your actual true beliefs are, like you have like this, what you tell yourself your beliefs are and what you tell yourself makes you happy, and what you tell yourself all these things are, but we just keep doing that through conditioning. But like, where does that really stem from? And so it was like a 3-hour session of us like going down through all these like different questions to figure out, okay, was this coming from trauma, fear? Like, what is all this coming from? A lot of it rooted back to my father. So we were trying to reframe or reprogram my feelings towards my father taking his own life. And it was rippling through business, my relationship with my wife, the relationship with my son, like all these different things. But the point I'm getting at is at the end of that, he was showing that, when you're doing things that you truly love doing, like you truly love it, you wake up for it every day, the way that it operates in the brain allows you to produce at such a high level that when you are operating in kind of the fear state of the back of the brain, where you're still being like, oh, I'm going to keep doing this because I have to, because I'm not going to be able to make money. And it like kind of goes back to that fear scarcity side. That's when everything really starts to slow down and the burnout happens and the stress and the, all that stuff. It's like, that's just chemically happening in our brain. So when you can figure that out and make those transitions or get out of the businesses that you don't enjoy doing the mechanics of it. And then you can focus on like what you're talking about, these new brands that are coming that are still in congruence with your previous audience. And you're inspired by that and passionate about that. It's like those things are just gonna have 10 times the success. And anybody listening in,
I got a podcast that I just started. You know what I mean? It doesn't have the growth trajectory that like my YouTube channel is, but I have seen that I've been putting a lot of fun energy into this, like I had when I first started. Sometimes the world doesn't give you back essentially what you put in, but I'm enjoying it, right? And I'm enjoying music and I'm enjoying those things, and I think eventually they will, but it will, something,
And it fuels itself, it's like if you're always on like the grind and you're not having those other experiences like the music and these other things to re-inspire you, like it's easy to experience burnout. Because I've gone through it multiple times where I wasn't skiing and I wasn't working on music and I wasn't traveling as much. And it was just like tunnel vision and it was great. It was productive. But like at the end, it was like, why am I doing this? It's like I'm always looking for experiences and new experiences and getting that through being in the outdoors and like that just stuff refuels me. And so now that is such an important part of my life where it's like every day I go out and I do one of the 5 or 6 hobbies that I'm into at that point, even if it's just for 30 minutes, just to get like a recharge. So powerful. Where it's like, oh, I'm going to go play golf for a bit in the morning, or I'm going to go surf or mountain bike or ride or whatever it is, just something just to unplug me for a second so that I can be rejuvenated to show up in a bigger way.
Totally.
It's been powerful.
Do more of that.
Yeah. So like talking about that, building the audiences, we build multiple communities inside of Abundance, and that's what's been really fun for me is getting people together, sharing a common, thread. It's like what Sam's built with Door to Door. It's like just building a movement. It's so powerful because then you can really have massive impact in the world and create like a standard, like here's a baseline, like, and we're all going to operate above baseline. So you're adding value in the world. And, we teach 3 stages of wealth, 4 stages of impact, where we teach you how to create one income stream. And once you figure that one out, create a second income stream and systemize those. And then how to be smart about investing your money to create generational wealth. So once you've really understood that, it's like, okay, now how do you go and have impact? And so I started a nonprofit in Uganda. We house like 40 children now, help with food, water, education, infrastructure, safety. And that inspired, I wasn't pushing that to the community, but it inspired a lot of people where they started doing the same thing. And now more and more people are like, okay, now that I've taken care of my family, how can I go out there and have more impact? So that's really what abundance is about. Now it's like, okay, now that everyone's kind of paying attention to what we're saying, here's what we're up to. Like, here's how to be a part of it. Here's how to like really channel your energy to, have a more positive impact on the world.
For sure. I mean, you get to a certain place in your financial life where you feel like it's not doing as much as it used to for you, and you just want to give back. I think I've also been involved in a lot of philanthropy. Traveled overseas several times, built schools. I built a school in India. We got into the education thing, and then I've been in the water thing for a long time. Essentially, in college, I was involved in a business called People Water.
I remember seeing those guys a while back.
Yeah, and then I was part of the framework and development of that company, and then just that kind of held a special place in my heart. So just before COVID is actually our last trip. We just haven't gotten back on the horn, but we definitely should, get going, because man, there's so many people struggling in the world, and you just want to just have that heart for that type of philanthropy. Obviously there's people in your backyard you can help out, but there's so many people that are just trying to figure out how to eat and drink every day.
Like basic needs. Doesn't matter. In a lot of those places, even if you are making somewhat of an income, even just having the access to fresh water is in a lot of places impossible.
It's insane. We travel out to all these little villages where they're drinking straight from the river. These little kids, they don't even care. They don't know what they're doing to themselves. They're just used to it, right? And so you change their entire world without them even really knowing. Like the last trip I did was in Cambodia. There's 50,000 kids that die every single year from water-related disease. And so just by bringing them a bucket, drilling a hole in it, and putting a filter on it, they can filter 1 million gallons of water. 1 million gallons of water, that's insane. As far as drinking water goes.
Yeah.
That's could be 5 to 10 years of drinking,
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm jumping back on that train here soon with my partner. We're gonna run it. It's too much fun saving lives.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Every, couple of weeks, it's like there's another kid that gets adopted into our,
So cool.
into our nonprofit. And it started with one kid, his name was Mark. And now he's my partner in the orphanage, but found this kid like on the side of the street, just like wandering, and he'd seen him like for a day or two, like kind of like looking for his parents. And I was like, what's going on? I asked around, like, oh yeah, like he's been abandoned. And so Mark was like the beginning of what is now the Uganda orphanage. And because of little Mark, he was the youngest, still is one of the younger kids in the orphanage, but now there's 40 that all came from him. Wow, his story. The goal with that is to continue to build, but also on the educational side, it's like they are going to school now to learn how to read, write, basic education. But I want to start implementing entrepreneurship and building like infrastructure so like change can actually happen. So like investing in like, hey, this is how you raise chickens and help them create like a chicken farm. Like here's how you sow, and here's how you whatever it is, but help create these little businesses so that as these kids are getting older, they can really start to understand finances and how to create a bank account, and like, okay, how do you save money? How do you do taxes? Like, what does all that stuff even look like? So that you can break the thread, which is if they don't have that, they're not going to create a different lifestyle for their offspring.
It's the whole thing behind the education thing, for sure, right?
It just repeats itself again, right?
Yeah, it just repeats itself because you're not teaching a man to fish, and he's not going to be able to eat or feed his family.
100%. Because like we see break down our school systems, and I don't know how you're educating your kids, but it's
we don't know yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, we think our kids are getting a lot of education from just our day-to-day business operation. We kind of see we kind of see how we operate, and I don't think they learn as much in elementary schools. So we'll put them in public school, You know, we wanted to give them that opportunity, you know, just like we had to run around with our friends on the playground, whatever. But like, you know what I mean? You don't learn real like world skills, you know what I mean, in school, in my opinion. So they gotta give you a healthy taste of both, I think.
Yeah.
They gotta learn to read.
Yeah.
So send them to school. But yeah, that real life stuff, man. Well, with your college, I barely learned anything. Yeah.
I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
I barely got through high school. I was like, I don't know what, like, I don't want to be like my teachers.
My degree was in entrepreneurship, actually. That's what I got my degree in, business entrepreneurship degree. So it's like the only person that chooses that is the one who's an entrepreneur at heart. I never knew what I wanted to do because I knew what I was going to be already.
Yeah.
I just doctor, you know, forget it. Like I'm gonna go create my own thing. So that was always me.
Same.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna keep failing until I figure it out. But yeah, the first choice of school, trade school, you know, buy a house, have kids right out of the gate, you know, I was like, none of this is, you know, resonating with me. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go out and try a bunch of things and travel the world and meet a ton of people and just figure out like, what do I want to do? I didn't know, so I wasn't gonna go sign up for something that I for sure knew wasn't the right thing for me.
I'm sure glad I didn't make any of those decisions to go like the normal route because, you know, I've had everything that I ever really wanted, you know. I've had it and I've gotten rid of it, you know. I was just talking to what was I talking to? Oh, Ryan Flynn on my podcast the other day about like even the cars that I've owned. Like, when I was a kid, that was only a dream. You know what I mean? I've already had them and then sold them because it was fun, you know? Later. It was cool, you know? Never ever thought I'd be where I am today, you know? So it's been fun figuring it out through entrepreneurship.
That's a part of it. If it was easy and it was simple, everybody would do it. You wouldn't learn anything. It wouldn't challenge you. You wouldn't get smarter. You wouldn't get wiser. It'd be boring. We wouldn't, you know, aspire to keep pushing, you know, down that road if it was just layups.
Yeah.
Every day. Right.
Yeah, and that's what it is. That's what it is for a lot of people who show up every day. And there's nothing wrong with just getting that type of job and security, you know, for your family. I think just for some people it just doesn't make sense. For me, it never did. So I'll be an entrepreneur till I die.
Agreed. So what's the focus then going into the next, you know, 3 to 5 years? What are you most excited about? What are you really focusing on?
Really, I'm in reset mode, right? With a lot of these businesses. So it's just like figuring out how to grow them. You know, there's just too many to talk about right now. Too many products, too many SaaS model projects we're working on. It's just really just growing each of these businesses, you know, and really, like you said, like really setting up like generational wealth, you know. I've invested in a lot of real estate projects right now. Stuff that's just like piggy banks for my kids. That's my main goal, you know. My dad died super young. I know your dad, I don't know how old your dad was.
He was young, he's 49.
That's young, dude.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? We never know where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
And so I'm with balance running as hard as I can to grow that for my kids, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, my dad had a really great job, you know, he always took care of us and we were good, you know, we lived a really comfortable lifestyle, but he didn't leave a lot of that back. And I think that's actually attributed to a lot of my successes because I didn't really have anything to work off of, you know, it actually might have crippled me, who knows? But, you know, I just want to be able to create that nest egg for my kids to be able to build off of, you know?
Yeah.
I think they're learning a lot already. I think we can apply it, you know, with money as well.
For sure. And it's all about the way that it's rolled out because, you know, when my dad passed, just from life insurance, we got a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot, like $100,000, right?
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm rich. It's going to last me forever. And, you know, and it went quick. I didn't have a mindset around it. It wasn't, you know, there wasn't like a trust release component to it. Like it was just like, hey, here you go. And, you know, people talk about, oh, if I just had money, I'd be successful. And I say, I think that's wrong. because if you don't have the mindset and the understanding and the way that money works, like it'll just be gone. You see people that
It's
win the lottery.
$100,000 in a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, and I'm just saying that just because that's the truth.
Yeah.
You can spend $100,000 in a day when some people make $100,000 in 2 years of work, you know, or 3 years of work.
Yeah.
So money goes fast nowadays.
It goes real fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy what we're seeing with inflation and everything. It's like, you know, when you go to the Air One or Whole Foods to buy, you know, groceries for the family, it's like you're spending $2,000 every time you walk out of that freaking grocery store.
Wow.
It's insane. And so, so the point to that is, you know, people talk about, oh, I need money to be successful, but it's really the other way around. It's like, you don't need the resources, you need to be resourceful, and you need to really understand, like, if I don't have it, how am I going to go get it? Because then when you get it, you're going to understand it, you're going to respect it in a whole different light. I remember I was down to my last $500 of that money and blew it on trying to start a clothing company, which actually did all right. But it's all these different things, but just didn't have the right mindset or understood marketing or scaling or hiring or any of the other components that you really need to be successful. And it was all gone. With the last $500, I was like, shit, I'm at the end of my road. I'm going to invest in a mentorship that does marketing, and like, this is it. So I'm going to be focused and no more shiny ball syndrome and jumping all over the place. I'm like, if this doesn't work, I can't go to my family and ask for money. They know what just happened, right?
Yeah.
They know that we got some money, and if it was gone in, you know, a year and a half and I had nothing to show for it, they would just, you know, laugh me out of the room. Like, I can't help you out, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, it was all these things come to this point where it's like, okay, you better get real and freaking build this thing. And so I was all in. I had nowhere else to go. It was like, this is it. And that's why it worked.
You were in LA at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was building because it was like 2015. I was in acting school, but my business was doing well.
Were you married?
What's that?
Were you married?
No.
When'd you get married?
We're actually having our ceremony this year.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
you didn't get married yet?
No.
So you guys have been together for
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. Because at the time I'd been with my other partner for like 6 years. But yeah, it was that thing of, you know, it's not the money. It's like, you just gotta get the mind right. And then, you know, I've seen people that are very wealthy that do set up a very successful thing with their kids of, hey, this is the age that you're going to be at when an X amount goes out, and there's going to be guidelines around that of where you're going to use this to invest in real estate or in, you know, you're not going to get a paycheck for $5 million that you're going to go blow and try to kill yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm really curious of how people's models and how they, you know, distribute massive amounts of wealth to their children and how to do it the right way.
I think some people, just all people that I know that distribute money to their kids, they're mega wealthy. You know what I mean? It's like they're making $3, $4, $5 million a month. And so it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, they call it burn cash, or they call it like disposable income.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, whatever, you know. I don't think it's the best thing to do to anybody, but I mean, I guess if you have it, you know, you can help that out. I don't know how that works. I've never been involved in that type of lifestyle, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Just interesting.
Yeah.
How to, like, what the right way to do it would be, because, you know, I had friends that just got ruined because the pops kicks the can and they get $100 million like overnight. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a recipe for disaster.
It's a recipe for disaster. I mean, as far as like spend, yeah, for sure. Like that money just gets spent over the years, and there's no multiplying your opportunities in any way. It just gets spent, you know.
Yeah. I think you're doing a great job with your kids of involving them in the business, like, because they understand how it works. You start to see how the world works. Mom and dad are working a lot. They see what happened. They see it takes a lot of people to make these things happen. You know, it's just not, you know, falling out of the sky. And, you know, we learned that too with working on my dad's farm growing up. It's like, you know, we worked really hard to make like $40 a day.
Yeah.
Like, I understood money.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the mindset as an entrepreneur of how to grow. You know, it took years to kind of like define that mindset of being around the right people that knew the game of money and had to like be open to listening to that and like open to learning. Because especially like 20, 25 years old, it's like, we got big egos. We kind of think we know how the world works. It's like, I didn't know shit at the time.
25? Are you kidding me?
No.
Yeah. You learn a lot in 10 years, man.
Yeah,
So,
big
how old are
time.
you?
34.
Yeah, same 35.
Yeah.
36 next month. And on my way to 40, you know? It's crazy, bro.
It's crazy.
I feel like I'm 6 still.
Yeah.
Running around shooting crab apples out of a slingshot. That's what I feel right here.
Yeah.
I say the mind never ages. That's true.
Yeah. And perception, it's like having fun and keeping that kid-like energy. And, you know, I'm a part of a mastermind called Baby Bathwater, and they're always like, just be like a baby, because you'll just have so much more fun. And just be open to learning every single day and listening and seeing the world, you know, with the learner's eyes. It's really powerful to stay humble in that space, because life's just a lot more fun that way.
For sure. I was just telling somebody the other day that I think that's the one thing I've learned in the last 5 years, is to really just be teachable, you know? And not think that you know everything, you know, and be willing to work with people, you know? Helping out that way, you know, because the more you close doors to people, the less opportunity you have, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was cool the other day that Dan was on the podcast, for example, because he doesn't need me. He doesn't, you know what I mean? Or does he?
You never know.
I don't know. But he gave his time, you know, gave it his time, and he has that mindset, I think, you know. Just, you never know what's going to happen, you know.
Just
Have as many people in your corner as you can.
100%. Yeah, I had a 45-minute call with him today on the way to the airport.
Nice.
And by the time we got to the airport, he had teamed me up with 6 people in group text. I was like, Ken's in town, go hang out with them, go over business.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. And it's great. Yeah, I'm open. We're going to do some stuff with this mastermind and whatnot.
So after the ranch here.
I'm going to in the next couple weeks. I want to take my son down there and see all the animals.
I went with my kids. My friend Vince jumped out of a plane and revealed Jenner his baby, you know. They all jumped out, him and his buddies, and it was cool. The kids got to see all the animals and stuff. I went and make videos out there. It's fun.
Oh, it looks so
You
rad.
have access to like a full zoo to make videos. You can't do that easily. You don't do that. You know?
Right.
So I'm trying to go out there, you know.
There you go.
It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool spot.
It looks super rad.
I want to see what he'd be like. Operation Black Side looks cool too. I want to do that.
He's like, I'm teaching all my friends how to shoot and fight.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm literally building an army.
Yeah, I actually told him, I was like, this doesn't seem like you, man. It doesn't seem like you at all. He's like, he's into it. So
I was saving animals on one end of the property, and I'm shooting giant machine guns on the other side.
exactly. Yeah. That's cool, man. I gotta go out there. I'm actually out there lots of swimming dance from Temecula. So when I go rehearse, I actually fly to Temecula. Or Ontario, and then I can drive to Temecula.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, it's fun. We're having fun, man. We're doing a lot, you know?
I love it, bro. Well, it's been great to catch up with you, and you know, we're both just building our things and going 100 miles an hour, and it's good to sit and catch up. And I'm glad we could sit down.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's so good to see you. It's been so long, you know?
It's been a long time.
That's how it goes, though, you know?
Yeah.
Where you left off, you know, and you know, we just have our own lives to live, I guess.
Well, it's, you know, when you're continuing to build and evolve and grow, it's like you lose a lot of friends along the way, but you also gain a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And the people that have continued to grow, it's like, yeah, when you get back together, it's right where you left off.
Exactly, man. It's like I just saw you from class, but it's been how many years? 8 years?
8 years.
7 or 8 years. It's crazy,
Yeah.
bro. Wow. Yeah, well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, but thank you for being here. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. So thank you, Kyler, for being on the show.
So I appreciate it.
Another Abundance podcast. Taking it away. We'll catch you again soon, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you guys.